Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Christiane Amanpour, anchoring from home this weekend for a special show dedicated to Ted Turner, our extraordinary founder and fearless leader, the visionary who died on Wednesday at the age of 87. So this week, we show you what made him so special, a savant ahead of every curve, the man who launched a global media revolution with CNN and 24/7 News, the man who actually did change the world. The quintessential American entrepreneur, the handsome, swashbuckling, daring America's Cup champion, the peace activist who wanted to eradicate nuclear weapons and break down barriers between people and nations, the first of the modern-day American philanthropists, and, of course, a passionate conservationist, one of the largest single private landowners, which he would not develop but preserve forever, and even restored the almost extinct American bison. In nearly 43 years at CNN, I met Ted many times, including on his Montana ranch in 2015, where he told me so many stories of life, love, loss, and his commitment to family, community, and always, always to CNN. In today's sharply partisan and weaponized media and political environment, it's important to remember that he created this network 46 years ago, not to hammer any political agenda, but simply to bring the truth about the world we all live in, to make us care about community and about our role and responsibility in it. You are somebody who's known for your phenomenal success. I mean, kind of mind-blowing success and the cutting-edge reforms that you've been doing. How much do you look at success in context with failure? What does failure mean to you? How do you look at failure? How you deal with it?
Trying to avoid it. And I've been successful in doing that. I knew I didn't have enough money to get CNN to break even. But I figured, I said, how am I going to get around it? I thought it through real carefully, and I figured if I get on the air and people see just how helpful it's going to be, I'll be able to raise the money later on. And I was able to do just exactly that. It was hard because the finances, the first year, the budget, we were 100% over the budget on expenses. It cost us twice as much to run as we had projected, and the income was half as much as we predicted. So the bottom line was 1/4 of what we projected, and the bankers just said, Ted, we're sorry, this is not a bankable deal. You got to give us our money back. I said, give me a little time to get somebody else to lend it to me. It was really fun. I mean, and it was scary. It was just as scary or scarier than the wind in the facet race. But all storms have a lot in common. You know, you're in danger. You've got to be a cool head. Timing is important in everything that you do. The first 10 years we lost money, and then we broke even in the 11th year, and now we're making a decent profit.
When you were very young, your father told you to be sure to set your goals so high that you can't possibly accomplish them in one lifetime. That way you'll always have something ahead of you. Did you set your goals high enough? Most people would say yes, and you've accomplished them all.
Well, I haven't accomplished them all. We haven't gotten rid of nuclear weapons, and we haven't we're headed in the right direction, but we haven't gotten far enough along with fighting global climate change. That after nuclear weapons is the greatest danger that we face, and it's preventable. It's the good thing is almost everything is preventable. The bad things, all you got to do is do them.
And CNN was also a major challenge. I mean, it wasn't an easy thing to start, right? It was
just about everybody that had an opinion didn't think we could do it.
And what did you say to them? What did you say to that?
Take a look at it. In retrospect, now you can see that we did do it, obviously, and it was a huge success. Huge.
How did you convince them? And did you ever feel that if all these experts are telling me I can't do it, well, maybe there's something to it?
Didn't bother me at all.
Were you trying to create a revolution with 24/7 news, or were you just trying to find another brilliant business opportunity? What was your motivating impulse?
Both. Both. I thought it through very carefully. That's what I did. I studied the situation, and I knew what I was doing. At least I felt like I knew what I was doing. And it turned out that I did.
And then after you created CNN in the United States, which already created a revolution, do you remember what it was like when you were shut out, when CNN was shut out of the White House, for instance?
It wasn't for very long. We sued the president.
You sued the president?
And the government, and the Supreme Court had heard the story right quick and voted in our favor.
So then CNN cameras could go and cover the White House like everybody else?
Right. That's all we were asking. It's equal access.
You've said that of all the things you've done, and you've done a lot, that CNN is the business achievement of which you're the most proud.
Yes.
10 years later was the Gulf War, when CNN really exploded into the international consciousness, into the global...
the only ones that were covering the war live from behind the lines.
Do you remember all the pushback you got from the President of the United States, from the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, from all these people who called you up and said, Ted, get your people out of Baghdad?
Well, the President didn't call me, he called Tom Johnson, but the word got to me.
Did you ever think of obeying those orders?
I couldn't do it because it was too important. And I said, as long as we have people that volunteer to stay, and Peter Arnett volunteered.
And Bernie Shaw and John Holloman.
Let's describe to our viewers what we're seeing. The skies over Baghdad have been illuminated. We're seeing bright flashes going off all over the sky.
Bernie really got caught there. He got out the next day. He was only there the first day.
That is legendary what they did that night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was it.
And then everybody else took CNN.
Right.
Fast forward all these years to now, there's a lot of politics that's involved, even in news coverage. And people can criticize. They can say, well, you know, were you on the side of the Iraqis? Why weren't you, you know, patriotic Americans? What were you doing in the enemy camp? Why were you behind enemy lines? What do you say today to people who still ask that question? Not just about...
They don't ask it.
Not just about this story.
We changed the way things were done. It wasn't... we weren't anti-American. We were just pro-truth.
And were you pro-truth when you took up the invitation from Fidel Castro decades ago to actually go to Cuba and see what this guy was all about? What made you go there? Was that about
curiosity. That's what made us go everywhere. That's what people watch the news for, because they're curious about what's going on.
Did you have an idea of Fidel Castro?
Thought he was pretty colorful.
And did you change your opinion
and
when you got...
he had a lot of courage to tackle the United States, you know, being so close to us.
Did you change your opinion at all when you got down there? I mean, your father was very strongly anti-communist, like most Americans.
I was too. You don't have to agree with somebody politically on everything to feel like they have worth.
And you also said, after this eye-opening trip to Cuba, I flew home with a whole new desire to understand more about other cultures and political systems, and to do what I could to increase communication and dialogue between nations.
Yep. What's wrong with that?
At first derided as chicken noodle news, TED and CNN had the last laugh. Coming up later on the program, more of my conversation from Montana about TED the globalist, bison, sailing, and world peace. A deeper look into the man who was so much more than just a media mogul. Welcome back to the program, where we are continuing with our special coverage of the late media pioneer Ted Turner, who died earlier this week. Never one to rest on his laurels, he was passionate about using CNN's unprecedented global reach. He was also a bit of a diplomat, founding the Goodwill Games in the 1980s at the height of the Cold War. It was an international sports competition specifically designed to dial down the temperature between the United States and the Soviet Union, with thousands of nuclear weapons pointed at each other. Grandiose, maybe, but he meant it. And indeed, the USSR, communism, did collapse a few years later. Here's some of our conversation about that part of his life. Your whole ethos was about trying to build bridges between nations, especially with the Goodwill Games, when you tried to build bridges between then Soviet Union and the United States.
During the 20 years of the Goodwill Games, we never had better relations with Russia.
And just remind me, who was your guide then? Wasn't it the young Vladimir Putin?
Yeah, vice mayor of St. Petersburg. We had the games there. Forget what year it was, but it was when he was there.
And what did you think of him at that point?
Seemed like a pretty capable, competent guy.
Does it surprise you that now that he's president, all these years later, there is real antipathy between him, Russia, and the United States?
It's terrible. I'm the guy that believes that we should learn how to get along, particularly the countries that we cannot afford to get into conflict with are Russia, and because of their nuclear weapons, and China.
So during this crisis between Russia and Ukraine and a raid against the West, something that I thought was unthinkable happened. President Putin has, one way or another, raised the specter of, quote unquote, the nuclear option. And I certainly never thought in my life, particularly after the Cold War, that this would be a possibility. And you, who've spent so much of your life trying to secure nuclear weapons with the Nuclear Threat Initiative, can you believe that this is actually happening in 2015?
It's hard to believe, but we're both guilty. The only thing that we can do is have total nuclear disarmament. Either we all have nuclear weapons or we all don't have them. And I'm in real favor of not having them. We should get rid of all of them and sign a treaty that we'll never mess with them again. We don't want to destroy the world. It's a very dangerous situation. Those bombs are so powerful that just a few of them will kill life on Earth. And we've got thousands of them on hair trigger alert.
Do you worry that there could be an accident?
Yes. There have been numerous accidents, but fortunately none have triggered an explosion yet. But it could happen at any time. It's just like having dynamite in your basement. We ought to work on the things that make our lives better, not the things that make our lives worse. And weapons and armies and aircraft carriers are just a waste of money and a waste of time. It's time to put war behind us. That we've made enough progress to where we can say goodbye to war and say hello to cooperation and working together.
You seized cable before cable was cool, as the ad went. What would you say to people today? What is the most important area of business endeavor?
What a chance to make a fortune. Energy. Clean, renewable energy is the biggest single project, because most of the people in the world don't have clean, renewable energy.
What would you say to the skeptics who say there may be some climate change going on, but A, it's got nothing to do with us, and B, trying to fix it with alternative energy is just economically not viable? What would you say to them?
I'd say, I hate to say this, but I think you're wrong.
I want to go back a little bit further. You went to Brown University to study the classics.
No.
No.
I went there because my father wanted me to go to an Ivy League school, and I got in there.
Your father wanted you to go to an Ivy League school and you got in. That's why you went.
I didn't plan to study the classics when I first went to Brown. I didn't know what I was going to study.
You did study the classics, right?
I ended up going that way because it was inspirational for me.
In what way?
Well, the grandiose plans of the classics. Horatio at the bridge. Then stepped forward Horatius, the captain of the gate. He said, to every man of woman born, death cometh soon or late. And how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? Hew down the bridge, Sir Counsel, with all the speed ye may. I, with but two beside me, will hold the foe in play. On yon narrow span 1,000 might well be stopped by 3. Now who will stand on either hand and guard the bridge with me? I like that.
I like that too.
I signed up for classics. Said, here I am, hew down the bridge.
This letter from your dad, when you declared classics your major, he said, my dear son, I'm appalled,
I know.
even horrified that you've adopted classics as a major.
I know.
As a matter of fact, I almost puked.
On the way home today.
You remember the letter? I think
Of course
you're
I remember the
rapidly becoming
an asshole.
No, it was a jackass.
Damn it, I sent you there.
What did you think when you got that letter from your own dad?
I was more amused than anything because I saw the value in classics.
Can you do Shakespeare?
A little bit.
Do you have anything you'd like to declaim?
This is, I think, Richard III, anyways, one of the Richards. Oh, my honor is my life. We live in one. Take honor from me, and my life is done. Then pray, my liege, my honor let me try. For that I live, and for that will I die. And I've lived with that. There's not one blemish on my honor in my entire 76-year career. Not once.
What do you most want to be remembered for?
The good things I've done.
What's your proudest achievement?
My family first, and outside my family, CNN.
And what advice would you have for any young person who came to say, Ted, you've done it all. What can you tell me?
Clean energy.
Ted Turner, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.